2024 Tesla Model 3 Standard Range versus 2023 Toyota Prius Prime, which is the better starter EV. Both pluggable cars are accessible to newbies and are much improved entry points to electric car ownership. Say you have about $40,000 to spend on a new electric car. Despite a recent spate of compelling choices popping up at that price point, Tesla's entry-level Model 3 sedan is the elephant that won't leave the room. Among EVs that are reasonably affordable and offer decent range while not looking incredibly dorky, cheap but sad-looking Chevy Bolt and big battery Nissan Leaf, it is the benchmark others are judged by. With 272 miles of EPA estimated range and that darn useful Supercharger recharging network making it a palatable first EV for most. Plus, like it or not, most average consumers think Tesla is a luxury brand, further complicating the efforts of mainstream yet similarly priced competitors such as the new Hyundai Ioniq 6, Polestar 2, and even the cheaper Bolt. This remains true as Tesla rolls out its updated 2024 Model 3, codenamed Highland, which promises mild price increases over today's version, which at this writing starts at $40,380 along with slightly more driving range. Oh, and it wears fresher, more attractive styling and gets a total interior overhaul that passably brings the cabin quality in line with Tesla's perceived luxury positioning. It's massively improved and finally deserving of its first-choice deference among would-be EV buyers, but is it good enough to convince fence-sitters who think of going electric but aren't sure if they can go all in on an all-electric car? To find out, we pitted the entry-level new 2024 Tesla Model 3 with the shorter-range battery and rear-wheel drive against Toyota's equally new gas-electric, plug-in Prius Prime. Like the 3, the Prime is much better than its predecessor, now looking cool and offering enough electric-only driving range to viably help owners avoid gas stations nearly indefinitely. Of course, should the battery run out or should an owner decide to cross the country, there's a refueling network that'll make Tesla's Superchargers blush. Those aforementioned gas stations. No hunting for working chargers, no range anxiety, no extra time spent on the road because recharging added hours to your journey. It's an EV when you want it to be and a regular car when you don't. The contenders. Beyond its new styling on every body panel save for the rear quarter panels and the door skins, the new Tesla Model 3 features revised suspension tuning and acoustic glass throughout. The result is a much quieter, more refined drive. Big credit goes to the new frequency-selective dampers, which passively adjust their valving based on the speed and severity of the wheel's trip over a bump or pavement crack. Potholes, speed bumps, and expansion joints? The Model 3 rounds them all off with an upmarket woomph that's more heard than felt, at least most of the time. There's still some firmness in the way the rear suspension goes over certain sharper impacts, and at times it can still feel like it's hitting the suspension bump stops, but on the whole, this is a different riding 3 than the old version, which tended to constantly crash loudly over broken pavement while letting in a ton of wind and road noise. Tesla hasn't changed the 3's batteries or motor or, in the all-wheel drive dual-motor example, motors plural, so the expected gains in driving range over the old standard range, single-motor car's 272-mile EPA estimate are owed to improved aerodynamics. Final figures are forthcoming, but we expect a modest EPA improvement to 280 to 290 miles. The new bumpers and headlights fit together better literally, the gaps are tighter, and front-end body sealing is much improved, helping the 3 to cut through the air better while using less energy. Cutting through the air was a big driver of the new Prius look, if the wedge shape and aggressive tail-end body creases didn't give that away. Unlike before, the plug-in Prime and the regular Prius hybrid look virtually identical. That's a good thing, because every new Prius wears shockingly attractive styling, with barbed headlights, a lay-down windshield, sinewy body lines, and full-width taillights. It's futuristic and different, where every earlier Prius has been different in merely awkward or odd ways. As on the regular Prius, the Prime upgrades its gas engine from a 1.8-liter i4 to a bigger 2.0-liter four-cylinder. Along with a new drive motor and lithium-ion battery, the Prime enjoys a huge boost in power from 121 horsepower to 220 ponies combined. Yes, it's much quicker than before. Electric-only driving range rises, too, from 25 miles before to up to 44 miles. When operating as a hybrid, its EPA combined fuel economy rating is a massive 52 mpg. On electrons, it's still efficient, with up to 127 mpge, not far off from the earlier rear-drive Model 3's 132 mpge. To fill the Prime back up, you can visit your local Dino Juice dispensary or any 120-volt household power outlet or 240-volt Level 2 hookup. Go with the latter, and your expected charge time is 4 hours. Go with the former, and you'll wait overnight, about 11 hours. You can't be serious? It seems almost absurd to line up a Prius alongside anything vaguely desirable, let alone a more expensive Tesla. But the new Prime's eye-catching appearance is enough to make it seem worthy of sharing a photo with the Model 3. Price-wise, our competitors are nearly dead even, mostly because the Toyota tested here came in the highest trim level offered and fully loaded, for an MSRP of $43,703, pretty much dead on with where we expect final pricing for the new Model 3 RWD sans options to land. Of course, our Model 3's not final price is inflated by optional full self-driving FSD, Tesla's ambitiously named, ambitious software that helps the sedan navigate highways and even city streets on its own, but under driver supervision. On the outgoing 3, this feature, which still isn't ready for prime time and is technically in beta, meaning customers are testing it in real time, on public roads costs $12,000. Our recommendation? Skip it. You can always add it later, likely for more money, but it's too buggy and spooky to use today. The standard autopilot lane keep assist and adaptive cruise control work as great or better than most competing systems and are included in the base price. It all works slicker than even Toyota's also standard lane keep and adaptive cruise features. Other notable features include the Prime's optional rooftop solar panel, which can add a full charge in a while. It's a bit gimmicky, but the $610 panel can add some range a few miles here and there when the Prime is parked in sunny locales. And it even contributes to powering accessories when the vehicle is driving, easing the battery's burden. Toyota gives drivers 3 region levels to choose from, each with successively greater engine braking effect, such that you can nearly drive the Prime without using the brake pedal. The thing is, adjusting these levels requires diving deep into the gauge cluster display menu, and only when the Prime is parked. Tesla offers a single region tuned strong, though it's admittedly one of the best one-pedal actions on the market. Range check. Beyond the obvious differences in electric-only range again, the 2024 Tesla Model 3 is expected to return more than 272 miles per the EPA, while the Prime delivers up to 44. Things get a little nuanced. The Prime's total driving range, meaning fully charged and with a full 10.6-gallon tank of gas, is a long 600-ish miles. Our specific Prime XSE Premium test model is rated for 39 miles of EV-only range and just 48 mpg combined, thanks to its larger 19-inch wheels and extra equipment. Same goes for the mid-range Prime XSE. The bigger numbers 44 miles EV range, 52 mpg combined are gleaned by the entry-level Prime SE, which rides on 17s with aerodynamic wheel covers. Still, the XSE Premium is capable of more than 550 miles of total range if you burn through all of its gas and electricity. While we are still waiting on official EPA estimates for the new Model 3, we ran this stealth gray example through Motor Trend's road trip range test and saw disappointing results. Just 211 miles, short of not only the old Model 3's EPA estimate but also the anticipated number for the new EPA estimates. In other markets, the 3's official range figures rise by about 10%, an improvement Tesla hasn't disputed could happen here in America. The also updated dual-motor long-range Model 3 didn't fare much better, its 250-mile performance in our test falling shy of the old dual-motor's 333-mile EPA range estimate. Of course, where the Prime has the backstop of not only tens of thousands of Level 2 chargers throughout the country or, wall outlets, but also the zillions of traditional gas stations, the Model 3 has the Supercharger network. This could be considered a built-in feature of every Tesla, and it diffuses so-called range anxiety. It's a big equalizer, and one huge reason the Model 3 is so compelling even for buyers new to EVs or pensive about making the switch to an all-electric car. You can nearly travel and charge up like you might in a regular gas-fed car. So plentiful are superchargers and Level 2 charging locations these days. And don't forget, Tesla's chargers tend to work more often than generic public chargers, which can be extremely frustrating to use, let alone rely on. This swings the pendulum back against the Prime in more ways than one. The Prime's onboard lithium-ion battery isn't that large, so you'd think it might charge quicker. But alas, the built-in charger is slow, maxing out at 16 amps and 3.5 kilowatts. Even with its so-so 170 kilowatts peak charging speed, the Model 3 can still get from 5 to 80% charge in 33 minutes on a supercharger. The Prime takes up to 4 hours on a level 2 charger, meaning it's more of a plug-in overnight, commute in the morning kind of deal. Yes, 39 to 44 miles of EV range largely covers most Americans' daily driving needs, but if the Model 3's 200-ish miles of range makes you itch, the Toyota's double-digit figure will seem downright insufficient if your goal is to only run on electrons. The difference makers. So the charging and range questions are sort of a wash. Is there any way to differentiate these two? Of course. The 2024 Tesla Model 3 looks and feels like a more expensive car, but remember, we're comparing it here to the priciest 2023 Toyota Prius Prime you can buy. An entry-level Prius Prime starts at a far cheaper $33,770, so really, the Tesla should feel nicer. We're particularly wowed by the Model 3's newfound quietude inside. It's genuinely hushed at highway speeds, with nary any tire rumble or wind whistle reaching your ears. Those with shiny object obsession with tech will go gaga for the new rear seat touchscreen, which can stream Hulu, Netflix, YouTube, and more while also controlling the rear air vents, not to mention the new stockless steering wheel and its turn signal buttons. Shifting is now handled via predictive algorithms. Sit in the car, and it guesses which way you want to go, or tries to, at least. A new slider on the touchscreen offers more direct control over drive, reverse, park, and neutral, as does a redundant row of touch-sensitive buttons in the overhead console. The Prius Prime is the opposite of the Model 3. Whereas the Tesla's exterior, updated though it may be, remains familiar and conventional aside from lacking a grille up front, the Prius looks like an escapee from a RoboCop reboot. It's more pedestrian inside, with a somewhat generic dashboard design with dual displays, some normal-looking buttons, and even that nubby electronic shift lever Toyota's used in Priuses for years. Interior space is somewhat tighter than in the old Prius, crammed under that dramatic roofline, but there's still decent room for 4 adults. And although the Model 3's backseat is both improved and more comfortable than before, not to mention larger than the Prius, its trunk isn't as commodious as the Toyota's hatch-covered 20.3 cubic foot cargo area. YouTube clips of Teslas ripping from a standstill to highway speeds in a blink glow in the public consciousness, so quickness is expected. This lowly Model 3 standard range isn't exactly plaid quick, though. Its 257 horsepower, 266 pound-feet rear-mounted motor punts the standard range to 60 miles per hour in 5.6 seconds, comparable to base-engine entry luxury sedans. On the other hand, most people expect Priuses to be slow, but this is another area next to the styling where the Toyota wildly exceeds expectations. The 220 horsepower, front-wheel drive Prime gets to 60 miles per hour in 6.4 seconds. That's slower than the Tesla, sure, but it's a full 4 seconds quicker than the old Prime and solidly in sport compact territory. A Honda Civic C is slower to 60 miles per hour, and a Volkswagen Golf GTI is in the Toyota's ballpark. Force the Prime into its EV-only mode, and the 0-60 miles per hour time rises to 10.5 seconds. That sounds slow, and compared to most new cars, it is. But the more powerful motor yanks the Prime forward with authority at in-town speeds, zipping up to city speeds well. Go all the way to freeway speeds, and it'll feel a little less peppy but hardly breathless. The old Prime, when in EV mode, felt like it switched to a hamster wheel for propulsion. Its electric drive motor was barely large enough to move the car. In practice, the Prime is finally a viable full-time EV, instead of a rather crappy part-time electric car. Its performance in EV-only mode is just fine for everyday driving, if not quite as fun as when the gas engine contributes. If you enjoyed the Model 3's driving experience before, you'll love this new one, which keeps the old 3's odd combination of notable body roll and overly quick steering. This gives the car a hyperactive feel through corners, which some drivers might mistake for sporty. It takes some getting used to, though we commend this rear drive, standard range 3's engaging steering feedback. As noted, the suspension now rounds off bumps better, though the overall tune is still firm in its vertical movements. The Toyota is as fun to drive, minus the odd body roll. In fact, the Prime is genuinely buttoned down, with excellent body control and good steering feel. You can really hustle one down a back road not because you have to, or because a full-size pickup is breathing down your bumper, but because you'll want to. The verdict? You choose. We promise this isn't a cop-out, but really, the winner comes down to personal circumstances. If you have enough charging infrastructure nearby, the 2024 Tesla Model 3 is a great, value-laden choice. It's an appealing electric car with cool tech and, finally, the refinement and quality to go with its de facto positioning as the modern-day yuppies BMW 3 Series and Mercedes-Benz C-Class alternative. Factor in the Supercharger network, and you could easily go all-electric with a minimum of compromises. However, the 2023 Toyota Prius Prime is more compelling. Sure, we wish it had quicker charging capabilities, and it offers woefully little configuration for charging, but that could be construed as ease of use. No fiddling with scheduled charging or different recharge percentages. Just plug it in and wait for it to be as full as you need it to be. So what if it's not entirely an EV? It is a really good and affordable one for up to 44 miles at a time. And should you need to go further, you can go a lot further, more than double the full range of the Model 3, using very little gasoline. With both power sources flowing, the Prime is quick and very fun to drive, while its styling makes a bigger statement than the Model 3's, and the hatch makes it more practical overall. This multifaceted appeal should make it difficult for someone new to EVs to pass on it for the pricier, electric-only Tesla.